So today I'm going to talk about how to make your marriage and your wholesaling business thrive as one unit. This is Todd Toback, and if you have not been to our website, before I jump into today's episode, I've got a special gift for you. If you're looking to make more money in your wholesaling business, if you're looking to get off the treadmill of deal to deal to deal, and you're looking for a business that throws off cash month after month after month without your personal day-to-day involvement, then you are in the right place. I've got a special gift for you. Head on over to nextlevelwholesaling.com, and there is the next level wholesaling assessment. And it's going to take you about 5 minutes to take. It's totally free. And it's going to rate you in the 4 core areas of your wholesaling business. And once you take it, it's going to basically spit out a score, and you're going to know what areas you need to work on to really start to break free so that you can earn a lot more money in a lot less time and free yourself, okay, from the treadmill of deal to deal to deal. So that's nextlevelwholesaling.com. All right, so let's jump in today's episode. It's going to be different. This is one of two, and I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here because this episode is from the entrepreneur perspective. And because 92% of our listeners, according to YouTube and some of the podcast host stats, are men. So if you're a female listening to this, and you're the entrepreneur, right? You are the one who is running the business, right? Forgive me. I'm also going to do an episode for the partner in the relationship who is not an entrepreneur, but I still think this episode will have value if you are a female listening to this because I'm going to talk in generalities here, and there's some things that you can take. If some of it doesn't apply, you can get rid of that and then keep the part that does apply. All right, so starting off with the male entrepreneur perspective. And before I jump into this, I'll tell you a little bit about where our business is and how I've been able to run it and why I'm qualified to do this. So for me, right now I am the full-time entrepreneur in my family. My wife is not involved in the business at all. She's aware of what we do and she knows about our finances. She would know what to do if anything were ever to happen to me, but she is not involved in the day-to-day business whatsoever. My wife, she homeschools our 4 children and spends her time raising and molding human beings for the next generation, which I am so blessed to do. And so because she does not have to focus on making money, it frees me up to spend more time earning money, creating businesses, creating cash flow for our families. And really that has given us a tremendous amount of freedom. Now, my wife is Marianne, okay, and she does what she absolutely loves. There's some people who feel like, oh, okay, if my wife stays home, that this is some kind of downgrade. But I think you will find, not every woman, right? But you will find that many women will find staying home is an upgrade for them, right? Spending time with their kids and raising their kids is a level up, not a level down. They're not only a stay-at-home mom. I think raising kids is probably the most important job in the world, way more important than real estate. And so if it was not for Marianne, geez, number one, I wouldn't have kids, but number two, I wouldn't be able to run a business the way that I have. And so I am so thankful. And so this is a marriage, it's a union, it's a partnership that I am just so thankful for. And it's actually a business partnership, if you think about it, right? Because she's given me a wonderful family and is running that side of our life. And I am running the business side of our life. So it's a commitment in which I say, you know what? I got this side, right? I got the money. I'll bring in the money. I'll be the breadwinner. I will handle all the stresses of the business and put that on my shoulders and the risk and all the million things that are going through my mind, I'm going to shield from you. And on the opposite side, okay, my wife has a million things going on during the day, of which she tells me some, but she shields me from a million things that goes on in her day, right? So that I can focus on the business, right? And because I shield her, she can focus on her job, and because she shields me, I can focus on my job. And so we look at it as an equal partnership. So, from the male perspective, here are some of your responsibilities or the entrepreneur responsibilities. Number one, understand that you are the undisputed leader of the business, right? The buck stops with you. And I personally would not try to involve your spouse to doing jobs in the business if at all possible. Now, when you're first getting started out, and if you don't have the money to hire someone with some administrative tasks, and maybe your spouse is really good at this, hey, I've got no problem with that, right? And by the way, I'm assuming that you may have kids, right? So this is going to affect on where you are in that continuum, right? So when I first got started, Marianne helped me with some of the administration. I remember, I'm going to really date myself here. We used to get the newspaper. And Marianne, we used to season the newspaper where we let it sit for 4 weeks. And if a for rent ad was in the newspaper and it sat for 4 weeks, we knew that if it was still available, that the seller or the landlord might be a little more motivated. So she used to take all those phone numbers, and she used to use a software called Dragon Naturally Speaking and speak the phone numbers and put them into an Excel spreadsheet and give them for me to call, which was just so awesome. But understand that the buck stops with you. You are the leader. You're going to make the decisions. You're going to create the vision for the business, and I would own that responsibility. That is up to you, and it is a big responsibility. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about follow through here in a minute, but if you want respect from your spouse, if you want to be supported, if you want them to believe you, if you want them to be with you when you are up and when you are down, you need to take the onus and put it on your shoulders. You're like, I got this. If I'm not going to have a job right now, if I'm not going to take the safe paycheck, well, guess what? You better get to work and you better implement. This is up to you because she is watching and watching for good reason. Okay. So understand that you're the leader and act that way. Number two is if you are married and you don't have kids, right? Now is the time to kick butt. You can work more hours right now because you don't have those family obligations. Okay. Your spouse, again, may be able to help you in the business, right? If she is not working, and that's fine because obviously there is not an additional responsibility of kids in the house. So I don't have a problem with that. Marianne did that for me, but this is before we had kids. Once you add kids to the mix, it's a whole nother layer of pressure that she is going to deal with. So if you're married, no kids, enjoy the time, kick some butt, put in a lot of hours, and you can get this thing built up in basically 90 days. All right. So number three, again, this is my opinion, what works for me. You don't have to take it. You could throw it away. But if you make money, okay, it is much better to give your spouse the gift of not working, okay, and allowing her to raise kids. Understand that this is not a downgrade. Now, this is assuming that she wants to do this, right? Again, I know that some women want to go out and work and do that. There's nothing wrong with that. But if she does not want to do that, right, create an environment of which you are making enough money that there's no question that she can stay home. Okay, now, you're like, Todd, well, how do I know where that is? Here's what I can tell you. If you are listening to this podcast, and you can show your spouse this, there is no way that you are not going to be able to, or not going to be able to afford to have your spouse stay home. Your spouse may be working at this point, and have her listen to this episode, because if you implement what I'm telling you, within 90 days, your spouse can quit her job and not have to go to a job that she does not like anymore. Now, again, if you're a spouse and you're listening to this, you're like, I like my job, I want to work, I want to take over the world. That's great. This podcast is not for you. but take that ownership of being 100% provider. Now, I understand that there's some spouses who say, "Oh, we like to do business together, and spend time together." I can tell you what, there's a lot of things that I like to do with my spouse more than business. My spouse and I, we like to go out to dinner. We like to go out to, vacations together. We like to just take walks, right? Like we actually, I know this is cheesy, but we take walks on the beach together. And it's because of the business that's enabled us to do this. And frankly, like when I'm off from the business, I'd love to be able to talk to my spouse besides other things besides the business, right? I don't want to be at work and all of a sudden come home and talking to my wife in bed about the business, right? Talk about like killing your sex drive, right? Talking to your spouse in bed about the business. Guys, believe me, take this off her shoulders and life will be better. You will have a better partnership. Sure, there are exceptions, right? But I can tell you, pillow talk about the business, usually not good. Now, this is a big one. And if you want support from your spouse, because I hear a lot of people say, well, my spouse doesn't support me. She doesn't support, the business, and she's always nagging me about the business that I work too much. Well, I can tell you this. What is this? 1, 2, 3. This is my fourth point here. Do what you say you're going to do. Okay. What does that mean? It means decide what you're going to do, laser focus, get rid of the distractions, work your rear end off. Okay. And completely dominate. And I know that's simple, but many men out there or husbands have failing businesses and they're off pretending that they're successful in social media and going to masterminds pretending like they're successful in their business when their businesses are failing. They're spending money on stupid crap that they shouldn't be spending money on to impress people that they don't like. And they're running in like 3 or 4 or 5 different business directions, like looking at the next shiny object. If you're listening to this podcast, wholesaling big, fat, juicy deals is like one of the best things that you can do. You can make $250 a year net in your sleep if you're running the business right by listening to this podcast. $500,000 a year net is completely reasonable, and $1 million a year net is certainly possible for top producers netting. But you got to do what you say you're going to do. If you eliminate the distractions, right? You eliminate the noise, you get laser focused, you can do it. I remember when my wife and I got married, one of the ways that I got immediate support is I had spent $5,000 on Peter Conti and David Finkel's lease option course. And what happened was that this is back in the day, they mailed me these boxes of like 6 or 7 binders. And every time I had a question, I would go into my home office and I'd open the binder and I would, go to page 67 and look what I would do. And I'd take notes and go and I'd mark it up. And one day she looks at me, my wife, and she goes, "Wow, you really use that stuff." And I remember thinking to myself, yeah, I do use that stuff. And after that day, she never questioned any money that I invested in education again. Right. She saw that I invested and then I implemented. I invested and then I implemented. I invested and then I implemented. And to this day, like Marianne does not ask me, hey, what is that deal you bought? Right. And why'd you buy that deal, or why'd you buy this mobile home park? Now, sometimes I will, if it's a bigger deal, I will mention it to her out of courtesy, but I've earned her trust. But also I've earned the trust of implementing. Now, I'm not always successful, right? I failed many, 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 many times, but it's not because of not trying or not implementing or laziness, right, on my part, because those are things that you can control and gain the respect of your spouse. Next, don't complain about the cash flow of your business or that your business is not successful if you're spending money in stupid places and not investing in marketing. So the lifeblood of your business is marketing. Without leads, your business is dead. Okay. It's like trying to run your body without oxygen. You need leads. And so if you are not investing in your business with leads, then your business is going to suffer. And so if you're buying a new car and let's say you're spending $50,000 or $60,000 on that car and it's $800 or $900 a month, $1,000 a month payment, and you're not reinvesting that money into your business because you want to look cooler, man, I tell you what, over time, your wife may not tell you this, right? But you're going to lose respect. You're going to lose credibility. And if you take that, let's say $1,000 that you can reinvest in your business and turn it into $10,000 every single month, guess what? That's $120,000 a year. Now, let me tell you, right now, if I wanted to buy 10 Lamborghinis cash, I could do that. But I choose not to. I choose to reinvest back into my business and make that money multiply, right? That money multiplies and then multiplies again and then multiplies again and then multiplies again. And we sacrificed those first years so that we could live the end game. Now, Marianne and I, the end game is always moving, right? We're always raising that bar. But today, we don't have to worry about money. We go on 4 or 5 really, really, really nice vacations with our families, every single year, right? We rent beach houses on the sand a couple of times a year. We go up in the mountains, we go skiing, we go to other places to visit family for a week at a time, go see my dad in Florida for a week at a time. And so we do not have to worry about spending $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $10,000 a vacation because, right, we sacrificed in those early years. And so again, if you want to do those nice things, that's awesome. That's the purpose of this. This business is going to serve you. But you got to make sure that your business is spitting off the cash that it needs to, and that it's healthy, and that you've put in the work, and that you've delayed that gratification. Delayed gratification. And that goes part of you leading, right? It's like it's painful in the moment to make a leadership decision and say, I'm going to sacrifice here, right? I'm not going to buy this new car, or I'm not going to go on this $10,000 vacation. We're going to go to a national park instead, right? I'm not going to buy this new $600 purse, right? But I'm going to keep the one from Target instead. And I'm going to reinvest this money back into my business. I have a very, very good friend who basically sold his digital marketing agency 3 times, right? That's how private equity works. For approximately, I don't have the exact numbers here, but my guess is about $100 million. Okay. And you would never know it because this friend of mine drove a Honda Accord up until I met him for lunch, and all of a sudden I saw him with a Lamborghini, or I think it was a Ferrari. It was one of the two. And we kind of laughed because I'm like, what happened to the Honda? And he's like, oh, well, I would have kept it, but it was giving me problems. So he bought the Ferrari instead. And he was really a master of delaying that gratification, but he's living large right now and doing the same thing all over again. All right. The other part about this is next, you want to share with your spouse what you learned and also what you did. Okay. So as you spend money or you invest or you are sacrificing, tell them what you're going to do, and then tell them what you're doing. Right? That's the most important part. Keep them updated so that they're in the know. Next, have shared goals. So this is going to be a lot more fun for your spouse if you tell them where you're trying to take the business, or you listen to them on what they want as the end goal. I want to go on this vacation, or I want to have, send our kids to this college, or I want to drive this car. Hey, that's all great, but have those shared goals and then create a plan to get there. That goes part to show her the end game, okay? Sacrifice now and then live big, okay, later. Now, here's the other part, is that right now, you may think, oh, Todd, I've got to sacrifice to get all this. Well, I can tell you what, you don't really need to sacrifice. You want to get really, really, really resourceful here. So it's really funny. I am part of a new swim team, and it is just So awesome. But even better is that we have an amazing coach. And our coach, let's just say, is not highly compensated. There's not a whole lot of money in kids swim coaching. But we live in San Diego, and our swim coach is in the ocean every single morning at 4 a.m. surfing the waves of San Diego. And he hangs out and has his dream job all day and shapes surfboards and sells surfboards on his off time. And he always seems to do the things that money can't buy. I've always had a lot of respect for him because a lot of the things that like we think we're trying to build the business, like I want to have my dream job or hang out with kids or coach kids or go to the beach every day. This guy is in the ocean at the beach every single day. And that's like, some people are like, oh, I want to go on a beach vacation. Well, he's on a permanent beach vacation, right? I know that he goes on picnics like with his wife on the bluffs of San Diego, and he has these like romantic dinners. He doesn't need to go out, right? They go and they cook and they do these things. And there are tons of free shows and national parks that you could go to and, workouts that you could do together. And I got to tell you that all the things that you think that you want to do that take money, you don't really need that in the building phase. And so I'm not saying you shouldn't drive a nice car, and I'm not saying you shouldn't drive vacation, but it's not always sacrifice, because the things that you think that you want are available right now to you for free. So my point is there are lots of ways to enjoy the present and live very, very, very large, cheaply while you build the business. Look, I want you to be in a private jet. I want you to drive a Ferrari if that's what you want. I want you to have a house in Hawaii and on in New York City if you want it. Okay, but you got to earn that, right? You got to make that happen. So I'm not going to summarize today's episode because it was a little long, but I hope you enjoyed this. My biggest thing here is plan together, dream together, invest, be a good steward of your money here. You got to implement, though, if you want to be a leader. And I got to tell you what, your spouse, if you do this, will support you. They will see what you're doing and they will be your biggest cheerleader. My next episode here, I'm actually going to talk about how to support your entrepreneur to let him, take you guys to the next level. So I hope you enjoyed today's show, and I will talk to you on the next episode.